Welcome back to the Teacher's AI Cafe. I'm Kane, a teacher and a parent who wants AI to give us back our time. I share practical classroom-tested AI strategies to cut down your workload, improve your feedback and reduce stress so you can get your evenings back and be more present with your friends and family. No jargon, just actionable steps. Grab your mug. Now let's get going. Welcome back to the AI Tech Update for educators. I'd like to say, may the 4th be with you. As today is the 4th of May, and it's become a very popular pop culture, at least in Western societies, to call it that. And I think tomorrow comes out as Revenge of the Sith instead of Revenge of the 5th. Coming out of that. So a little bit of trivia there. Now, what's been happening in the last week? So what do we see what's happened last week? So this week's development, a bit of a shift in AI tools are evolving. I guess it's no longer about which model is smartest, and they're all pretty smart and they're all evolving. And once again, I often talk about how they're being embedded into everyday work. I guess the most significant change comes from Google, introduced new Workspace intelligence layers to Gemini. This allows Gemini to work across documents, emails, meetings, yada, yada, yada. And it was also acting as an agent inside Google Workspace. For teachers who are paying attention to us, I guess many people obviously work within the Google environment. And the idea is, depending on how it's set up, students are actually already drawing and working on this. But you yourself can be drawing all this, create more context, help generate reports, draft your communications. And it'll help reduce the friction between your thinking and writing and what you actually put out there. At the same time, it throws up that question we get every week. When AI is in everything, how much influence does it have over the structure of our work? Do we alter how we work to fit the way AI best responds to our prompts? Another development this week is there's again growing competition between AI platforms. Last podcast update, there was lots of big releases. ChatGPT 5.5 has come out. Gemini is reaching hundreds of millions of users. I was reading, at least income-wise, Claude is growing rapidly. They tripled their income from 7 to 21 billion for the income. So that shows a lot of growth in their particular business models there. I guess in practical terms, it means our students are not all using the same tool if they're using it at home. Some may work in ChatGPT, others Gemini, Claude, even Grok, for example, Perplexity. Now, each of these tools behave differently, and this makes it harder to give simple rules about AI use and the prompts and the styles where you interact. And each has their own strengths, and it depends on the student's interests and what they want actually help with, as well as yourselves. But it makes it more important as teachers to teach these underlying skills, such as evaluating the outputs, checking sources, understanding limitations of the model. And the core of that is you need contextual knowledge or subject knowledge to ask the good questions and assess what's coming out. Teachers are still needed. Now, recent testing actually has been done, reinforces the point. Gemini and ChatGPT 5.5 now perform at similar levels, but they have different strengths. Gemini tends to follow strict instructions, handle coding tasks better than, say, ChatGPT. GPT 5.5 performs strongly in structured reasoning and explanation, and I prefer that. I have been playing with Claude. So this is just to suggest different learning areas might want to employ different AI systems. And also, when you look at in that data, Grok is now performing very strongly and reasonably benchmarks where it wasn't previously, so they're upgrading their model. Same time, Claude gets all the attention for its writing and quality tone. So I think it does that fairly well compared to others. But like I said, if I'm designing large units, they tend to be very one particular model or way, unless you give it certain instructions, the way it's being embedded approaches to a problem. It does tend to have one type of response, for example, Claude, with large projects, but whereas ChatGPT, I vary a lot more, but the language isn't as good and the output isn't as ready to go between the two different models. So some other things have been around the use of AI in professional settings, because eventually move into professional settings, or our students will. Goldman Sachs has restricted access to Claude in some regions due to data safety concerns. Interesting. And this may seem distant to schools, but the underlying issue is we use these tools and often sharing our data. And in education, we need to be very sure that the data is very secure. Because why we don't do it in Australia, we're not instructed to do, putting things like student work assessment information, internal documents and things into that means that it's actually getting shared and across maybe a far greater audience than you actually originally intended. But like I said, I was looking at a YouTube thing today, and I was looking at a Facebook discussion that's been happening in one of the groups, which is thousands of members, and there's a lot of argument going to and from about the use of AI. And there seems to be people having different arguments. Some people calling other people Luddites, which of course is quite funny if you know what a Luddite is. And obviously these people join this AI group for teachers and they're arguing the use of AI. But the discussion, it seems to be cross lines going in there, that some people are discussing not no AI, though some people do argue that. No AI, it's more the use of AI. They're arguing that the students shouldn't be using it, teachers can. And other people are misinterpreting that no one should be using AI in education. Whereas the real argument is saying, no, we should be developing these tools and things under teacher instruction and guidance with teacher expertise to do the things faster and more efficiently than you could do without AI, or how you traditionally do it to have better impact on your students. So remember, when this AI comes in, you're the core of it, you're the teacher in charge, you're the subject area expert, you're in charge of the pedagogy, and AI can give you ideas, brainstorming, but when you develop things, you develop it with your expertise. So keep that in mind. You're still the centre of your classroom and the educational system and the impact that you have on your students. Until Wednesday, look after yourself, take care, and keep experimenting.